When I think back to the whirlwind of events that unfolded last year, I still find myself shaking my head in disbelief. What began so simply, so quietly, turned into something that altered the way I see people, family, and life itself. None of us could have predicted how deeply one young man would leave his mark on me and those I love. His name was Ethan Parker, and he happened to be my son Daniel's closest friend. Daniel had just celebrated his 19th birthday, standing on that edge between adolescence and adulthood, where the memories of high school blur into the responsibilities of the future. He was attending community college, still living at home, and trying to figure out who he was becoming. During that time, Ethan was constantly around. Tall, respectful, and unfailingly courteous. He always greeted me with genuine warmth and offered to lend a hand whenever he stopped by. At first, I assumed he was simply one of those rare, well-brought-up kids, but before long, I came to see that his goodness went much deeper than manners. My husband, Richard, often traveled for work, overseeing construction projects that took him out of state for weeks at a time. With him gone so frequently, I carried the weight of bills, house upkeep, cooking, and keeping Daniel on track with school. Most days I was exhausted, though I tried not to show it. But Ethan seemed to notice in ways even Daniel sometimes didn't. One chilly evening in October, I returned home from my job at the library to find the yard freshly mowed, the fallen leaves bagged neatly, and the garbage cans lined up at the curb. My first thought was that Daniel had finally taken initiative. But when I asked him, he shook his head. "Wasn't me, Mom," he said. "Ethan came by earlier and did it. He said you looked tired yesterday." I was stunned. Ethan had no obligation to me or my household, yet he had gone out of his way. The next day when I saw him, I thanked him, and he gave me one of his easy, genuine smiles. "You do so much for everyone, Mrs. Collins," he said softly. "It's the least I could do." That moment stayed with me. Not many teenagers, or even adults, notice the quiet burdens others carry. Ethan's attentiveness felt rare, a flicker of empathy in a world that often seemed preoccupied with itself. As weeks passed, Ethan became more like part of the family. He frequently joined us for dinner, sometimes arriving with groceries in hand. He teased Daniel about his music choices, swapped book recommendations with me, and filled the house with his light-hearted energy. He had a thoughtfulness that felt older than his years, yet carried the spark of youth with him. One snowy evening in December, after a particularly draining day, I felt the weight of everything pressing down on me. Work stress, unpaid bills, and the disappointment of hearing from Richard that his trip would be extended another 2 weeks. Daniel and Ethan came home from the gym, and almost immediately, Ethan's eyes caught the strain I was trying to hide. "You all right, Mrs. Collins?" he asked gently. I forced a smile and insisted I was just tired, though my voice betrayed me. He didn't push further, but later when I went into the kitchen, I found a folded note left on the counter in his neat handwriting. "You're stronger than you realize, but even strong people need rest. Don't forget to take care of yourself." Sitting at the table with that note in my hands, tears filled my eyes. This boy, 19 years old, had managed to see through me in ways few ever had. From that moment, Ethan's kindness revealed itself again and again. When our heater broke during a bitter January night, he arrived the next day with his uncle's space heaters and spent the afternoon setting them up with Daniel. When I came down with the flu, he stopped by daily with homemade soup his mother prepared, along with a small stack of mystery novels to keep me occupied. It wasn't only the big gestures. It was the steady rhythm of small, thoughtful actions that astonished me most. One spring afternoon, I sat on the porch while Daniel and Ethan washed Daniel's beat-up car. I overheard their conversation. Daniel was venting about how hard life felt, how uncertain school and the future seemed. Ethan listened quietly before telling him, "Your mom works so hard for you, man. She keeps everything together, even when it's rough. You should be proud of her. She's the reason you'll be okay." Hearing those words from a peer made Daniel fall silent. And it struck me too. Ethan had a gift for lifting people up, for reminding them of what truly mattered. The defining moment came that May. A fundraiser was organized for a family in our neighborhood who had lost their home in a fire. Daniel mentioned it casually, but Ethan insisted they go. That night, Ethan donated what little money he had saved from his part-time job, then stayed for hours helping pack supplies and organize donations. I watched him across the room, saw the sincerity in his eyes, and realized how genuine his heart truly was. Later, when I thanked him, he only shrugged. "It's just the right thing to do," he said simply. But for me it was more than that. It was proof that there are still people in this world who act out of pure compassion, expecting nothing in return. As the months passed, Ethan remained a steady, uplifting presence in our lives. Daniel flourished with such a positive influence by his side, and I felt lighter, knowing someone cared not only for my son, but for me as well, with kindness and respect. Looking back now, I often wonder how different things might have been if Ethan had never come into our lives. My son's best friend amazed me, not with grand heroic acts, but through his quiet, consistent kindness that left an unforgettable mark. I'll always be grateful for the boy who reminded me that real strength isn't measured in wealth or muscle, but in compassion, empathy, and the willingness to notice what others overlook. Ethan may have been Daniel's best friend, but in so many ways, he became mine too.